Hi, I'm Brianna from New York. Please like and subscribe. I was raised by my single dad, who owned a multi-million-dollar company. Even though he was super busy, he always put me first, and I felt truly loved. He worked from home till I was 3, and then he hired the best nannies to take care of me while he was away. Life was good, until one day something really strange happened. I was 4 years old, when one night I saw Dad working really late, and I decided to make him some hot chocolate. As I walked over to his desk, I suddenly tripped on the carpet and spilled it all over his laptop.
Oh my God, Brianna, you fried my laptop. It has so much important stuff on it.
Suddenly, I felt something happen to my face. I could feel my lips and nose and cheeks twitch uncontrollably. Dad noticed it and immediately took me to the doctor. She told us that face twitching was an involuntary condition, and it just happened to some people when they were stressed. There wasn't really any cure for it. When I turned 5, Dad enrolled me in the best school around. In the first lesson, the teacher asked us all to write a few lines about ourselves. But this girl next to me kept talking so loudly with her friends, I could hardly focus. Hi, can you make a little less noise, please? I'm trying to write and...
Gosh, are you telling me you're as stupid as you look? But don't interrupt me again.
Just then my face twitched, and she looked even angrier as the others laughed. She thought I was mocking her, and after that day, Mona became my sworn enemy. And it just stayed that way forever, even when we got older. Once, when I was in 7th grade, Dad and I got stuck in traffic on our way home, and we saw a homeless couple on the pavement fighting over a sandwich. A boy my age was sitting near them with a basket of apples, and he came running towards us.
Sir, would you like to buy a pound of apples? It only costs $1. And with that, I'll buy dinner.
Dad bought 5 pounds and gave him $200. The boy's face lit up and he skipped off happily.
Poor kid. He should be in school, but his parents can't afford it.
Dad, why don't we do that? Let's send him to school. Please, can we? He smiled and nodded. A week later, Dad enrolled him in my school, and when the teacher introduced him to the class, I found out his name was Jack. He didn't seem to recognize me, and I never brought it up that I'd seen him before or that my dad was the one who helped him. I didn't want him to feel embarrassed, but the rest of the kids were brutal, especially that Mona.
Hey Jack, why do you walk to school every day? Where's your car, man?
Come on, guys. Can't you see how poor he is? His pants are 2 sizes too small for him, and all he eats for lunch are apples.
I wanted to punch her face, but Jack didn't even react and walked away. I asked Dad to get him new clothes, and the next day, Jack looked so much happier. One day at the end of class, the teacher asked Jack to collect everyone's assignments. As he was walking through the aisle, someone stuck a leg out, and he tripped and landed hard on the floor. I rushed forward to help him, but Mona got there first and threw a whole bottle of ink on him. That was it. I grabbed her bag and threw everything out of the window. She screamed and pulled my hair. I turned around and slapped her face as we wrestled. We went crashing into a poor kid's solar system project, sending planets flying everywhere. We both ended up in detention, but it was worth it. The next day, I saw Jack walking towards me in the hallway, and I felt nervous. It was the first time we'd be talking. As he got close, my face started twitching. He stopped and abruptly turned away. Oh no, Jack, please stop. I didn't mean to tease you.
You just wrinkled your nose like I'm something disgusting. I thought you were different after what you did yesterday.
Just let me explain, will you? I told him about my condition, and his face softened. We started hanging out after that, and soon we became friends. Well, I started having a small crush on him. He was sweet and simple, unlike any of the other rich hoity-toity boys I knew. A few days later, at a park entrance, someone was selling lottery tickets, and we both got a ticket each for fun. The results were posted online the next day, but Jack said he was too nervous to look. I laughed and took both tickets and started scrolling through the results. My eyes almost popped out when I saw some numbers. The winning one was mine. OMG, I just won the $10 million lottery. I didn't really need it, but this money could change Jack's life. So without another thought, I switched our tickets. Oh my God, Jack, you've won freaking $10 million. Can you believe this? He stared at me in shock, then started whooping and jumping around like a crazy monkey. It was the best moment of my life. I was so excited to meet him after the weekend. But as soon as I entered school, I spotted him in a corner surrounded by some kids, including Mona. Gosh, couldn't they just leave him alone? I rushed forward and shouted, Just knock it off and stop bullying.
No, Brianna, relax. They're my friends.
I stared at him in disbelief. Friends? These guys? Turns out, Jack was on the local news for being the lottery winner, and now everyone in school was suddenly his friend. Kids were swarming over to our table at lunch and nearly knocked me off trying to sit closer to him. Everyone wanted to know what he'd do with his millions, and, well, he was spending them. One day, the flashiest red sports car drove up to school and Jack jumped out of the back seat. He was now wearing branded clothes and carrying the latest iPhone, showing everyone pictures of his mansion. I was really happy for him, but he was suddenly so busy with all these new people and going to parties, I barely got to see him anymore. So one day, I texted him to ask if we could meet later, and he said he'd love to take me out for dinner. In fact, he picked out a really fancy restaurant, and it kind of felt like a date. But I was so mad when I kept waiting for 3 hours, and he never showed up. He wouldn't even pick up his phone. On my way home, we were driving past some cafes, when suddenly I yelled at my driver to stop. I spotted Jack under a streetlight, putting his scarf around a girl's neck and pulling her in for a kiss, and the girl was freaking Mona. I stormed over to them. What the heck, Jack? You stood me up for dinner, and what are you doing with her?
He's kissing me. Twitchy face. Because I'm his girlfriend.
His what? Jack, are you crazy?
Gosh, Brianna, I totally forgot about dinner. And no, I'm not crazy. Mona has apologized for everything to me, and she's actually really sweet.
No, she's not, Jack. Can't you see? She's suddenly into you because you're rich. That's why all those other people are your friends, too.
What's your problem, Brianna? Why can't you just be happy for me? Does it bother you that I'm not your poor friend anymore? The one you can feel sorry for and take care of? You just can't stand that I'm as rich as you now.
I can't believe you just said that. And suddenly, my face started twitching horribly.
God, I hate when your face does that. It's so annoying.
I snapped and slapped him across the face. I don't even know who you are anymore. And with that, I ran back to my car with angry tears down my face. I was heartbroken, and I told Dad everything that had happened that night.
I'm so sorry, sweetheart. And I'm sad to hear Jack's turned out this way. He'll soon realize he's lost the best friend he ever had.
Well, it didn't look like it would be anytime soon because he and Mona were now the hottest new couple in school. I could hardly stand to look at those two. But thankfully, the next few weeks, I was too busy working with my science club members to see much of them. Some professors from Harvard were coming to judge our projects, and we had a chance of winning a spot in a super exclusive summer program. When it was my turn to speak out at our presentation, I started off really confident. But just then, I spotted Mona and Jack in the auditorium, pointing and making faces at me. I tried to focus, but I felt so flustered my face started twitching, and I forgot all my words. I turned to leave, and I tripped and crashed straight into our project. As I saw Mona and Jack laughing from the corner of my eye, I picked myself up and ran away from there. I couldn't believe my best friend had become a spiteful jerk, ruining everything for me. I just never spoke to him again. A few days before the end of high school, I was walking past the principal's office when I saw Jack inside.
What's happened to you this past year? You've ignored all my warnings and now you've failed 3 subjects. You're not graduating high school. You'll have to repeat a year.
What? Come on, surely we can find another solution. How about I pay you 10 grand and you make my bad grades go away?
Get out of my office, Jack.
I quickly walked off before he could see me. He was so smart, but he'd just been wasting his time over stupid things. And Mona publicly dumped him the same day when she found out because she said she didn't want to be with a loser anymore. I graduated high school with flying colors. And of course, Dad came to attend.
Oh, hello, sir. I wasn't expecting to see you here.
Well, I was hoping to see you graduate along with my daughter, Jack.
Your daughter? What's her name?
Brianna.
What? Brianna is your daughter?
Yes. In fact, she's the one who insisted I send you to school all those years ago. You have a lot to thank her for, son, including that lottery ticket you think you won.
I was gathering my stuff from the locker when suddenly I found Jack standing behind me. What do you want?
Brianna, I know what you did. What kind of crazy person gives away $10 million?
What? How do you know that?
It doesn't matter, just tell me. Why did you do that for me?
Jack, when I saw you as a kid on the roadside, it broke my heart to think you didn't get as lucky as me to be born to rich parents. That lottery ticket was also just dumb luck. I didn't do anything to deserve it, but I really believed you deserved a better life. I still believe that, and I don't regret giving you the money at all.
I can't believe I was such a terrible jerk to the best person in my life. I'm really, really sorry. I don't deserve your forgiveness or your friendship, and I won't ever bother you again. Goodbye, Brianna. I hope you have a wonderful life.
He walked away, and I had a lump in my throat as I watched him leave. A few years later, at university, I was studying in the library one evening when I realized it was quite late. As I was walking back to my apartment, I suddenly felt like I was being followed. I looked around to find two masked men right behind me. I tried to run, but they caught up instantly, and one of them snatched my bag as the other pushed me to the ground. Just then, someone came out of the shadows and punched one of them. To my shock, I saw it was Jack. The two men started beating him up as I screamed for help. Just then, a policeman came around the corner, and the two men ran away. I called an ambulance, and I immediately rushed Jack to the hospital. He was unconscious and in really bad shape. He went into a coma. 10 days later, I was sleeping on a chair by his bed when I felt a hand on mine. Oh my God, you're awake!
Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Jack, why were you there that night? How did you even know where I was?
I regret what I did to you so much, Brianna, so I made a promise to myself to always look out for you. I was too stupid to notice, but all those years, you were my guardian angel. You watched over me and stood up for me when no one else did. I owe you my life forever, and I love you, Brianna.
Finally, you sound like that sweet boy I used to be friends with. I forgive you, Jack, and I love you too. And with that, I leaned in for a kiss.
Hi, I'm Sasha, and I have a crazy story to tell you. But before I do, please like and subscribe. When I started basic school, I hardly ever talked to anyone. I was so shy and quiet that some of my classmates thought I was a dummy. My kindergarten teacher even told my parents to take me to a doctor and find out what was wrong with me. But Dad completely lost his temper with her.
Are you dumb? She is too beautiful for there to be anything wrong with her. Why don't you save your advice for some other real dumb kid?
But my shyness just didn't go away. I didn't talk much to my classmates, and they thought I was a snob. As if. But no matter what, my shyness just didn't go away. I didn't talk much to my classmates, and they thought I was a snob. As if, once, when I was in the first grade, some of my classmates asked me to share my candy with them. But I just stared back at them and didn't reply.
Who do you think you are, you dumb girl? I said. Give us candy.
I didn't say a word and started walking away. They got angrier and circled me. Suddenly, I opened my mouth and let out an ear-splitting scream. They were so shocked to actually hear my voice that they just stood there stupidly, and I managed to escape. But at home, I was a completely different person. I was super chatty and an awesome storyteller. In fact, sometimes my parents begged me to stop talking because I was giving them headaches. Once, I kept them awake all night, telling them a story I had in my mind about some princess. And because I didn't know how to write well, they spent all night writing it for me. It ended up about 90 pages long.
I will do this every night, sweetheart. I can't believe I have such a beautiful daughter in my life.
Dad just worshipped me because I was pretty. Mom was different and loved me no matter what. I was still too shy to talk outside my home. But people never stopped trying to become friends with me. And I know why now. It's only because they thought I was cute. But I had to admit, I kind of liked it. When I was in the 3rd grade, one boy threw a piece of paper at me that said, "Your smile makes me happy, but your words make me happier." Can I hear them? I blushed, and from that moment, I tried to talk more. So I made new friends and also started taking part in different school activities. When I was in the 8th grade, my parents helped me publish my first short novel. But it was a failure, and people didn't like it. I got sad, Dad didn't take it well, and sued the publishers saying it was their fault. But of course, he lost the case, and I decided to take a break from writing. Until one morning when our class teacher walked into the classroom with a tall, athletic boy. It really looked like the boy wasn't too happy to join us.
Everyone, welcome your new classmate, Liam.
Liam had a deep frown and a stupid smile at the same time. He had this funny Grinch face. The teacher told Liam to take a seat right next to me, and I gave him a friendly smile.
That's the ugliest smile I've ever seen. Have you heard of toothpaste? I can buy it for you. If you don't have money, you can pay me back. Maybe with a kiss.
Oh, wow! I was about to respond when the teacher started the lesson. It was a French lesson, and he looked completely blank. Hey, do you need any help?
From you? You don't look very smart. And I don't need help from a girl when I can use Google Translate on my phone. So buzz off.
What a jerk! The next day, when the teacher returned the assignments, Liam looked really angry to see a big F on his.
What kind of dumb school is this? How can Google be wrong?
I took a look at his paper and burst out laughing. That's not even French, you idiot! You translated the whole thing to Spanish! He crumpled up his assignment into a ball and threw it at my face. But I couldn't stop laughing. Boy, how could someone be this stupid? I figured out soon enough that Liam wasn't interested in learning or making friends. Eventually, the whole school realized that Liam was just interested in bullying others. Sometimes, he would snatch students' lunch and threaten to beat them if they reported him. I was one of those unlucky students. But after the third time he did it, I reported him to the principal and he was put in detention. When Liam returned from detention, he looked straight into my eyes.
You are going to pay for this.
Well, you should know your limits. If you ever try to bother me again, I swear you will regret it. And I might even tell Dad.
Aw, Daddy's daughter, look at me. I'm so scared. Oh, Mommy, hug me.
Once he tried to knock my books out of my hands, when suddenly a bunch of boys behind him came and said,
Dude, why are you being like this with a pretty girl like her?
Wait, what? So if I wasn't pretty, that would be okay?
Well, pretty girls deserve special treatment, you know. So now we're all here to stop him. He can't annoy pretty girls.
Well, thanks for your caring, but girls can defend themselves. And I pushed through them and left.
Told you guys, girls are crazy, especially the pretty ones. Now get lost, all of you, or else.
Liam did whatever he wanted. It seemed he wasn't afraid of anyone, not even the principal. I really hated him. One rainy day, Liam came to school completely drenched, and it seemed like he'd fallen sick. He was shivering non-stop, and the principal said he'd call his parents to take him home. But to everyone's surprise, Liam screamed,
No, I'm fine. I don't want to go home. Please let me stay.
You have to go home and rest.
No, I don't. I could run a marathon right now, just some water, and I'll be good to go.
Later at recess, I found him huddled on the bleachers, and he was hugging a worn-out teddy bear. Dude, is that a stuffed toy?
Don't insult Mr. Smith.
Oh, he has a name? Is he like your little baby? Is he adopted or did you give birth to him?
Shut up, can't you leave me alone?
You're sick and you need to go home.
You look much, prettier when you're quiet. Now stop acting like you care.
Have to be like this. I'm trying to be nice.
Who asked you? Mind your own business.
As soon as he was fine, he went right back to being the jerk he always was. I started writing about him in my notebook. Liam was such an interesting person for a villain. I couldn't believe that having someone as horrible as him in my life was actually making me want to get back to writing. One day when I was leaving the cafeteria, Liam blocked my way and demanded that I give him my lunch. We're not in kindergarten, idiot. And I ate it. And I'm not afraid of you. Now shoo. As I walked past him, he suddenly pulled at my bag and everything spilled out. A couple of boys immediately ran over to help me, and I gathered my stuff and left angrily. What an immature jerk. When I went home, I found out that my notebook was missing. I rushed straight to the locker the next morning and was going through all my stuff frantically when I heard Liam.
Behind me looking for this?
Give that back, you jerk! He threw it at me, giving me that stupid smile of his.
Got what I needed.
And with that, he walked away. I had no idea what he was up to, but I found out soon enough. Later that day, the whole school was gathered in the gym for a lecture on fire safety. As we stood waiting around for it to start, suddenly, Liam jumped onto the stage and tapped the mic for everyone's attention.
Ha ha ha. While we are all gathered here to talk about our safety in school, I just want to say, I don't feel safe at all. How can I when I have a stalker right here?
Oh no, 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 no. Just then, the large screen behind him flickered, and images from my notebook showed up. As the sketches and the things I'd written about him flashed on the screen, I wanted to disappear.
And it's none other than the girl everyone adores. Sasha, she's obsessed with me. Guess just because you're pretty on the outside doesn't mean you can't be a total creep inside. So everyone be careful. You might wake up someday to find yourself a villain in her novel. She's cuckoo.
As everyone's eyes turned to me, I could feel panic rise in my chest.
But it's okay, sweetie. I can still be your boyfriend. Want to hang out sometime?
As I ran out of the gym, I turned around and said, "You're bad. I hate you." As I walked into the school the next day, my legs were trembling. I just stared down at my feet as I entered the classroom. The lesson started, and when the teacher asked me to read my essay out loud, I just looked down and shook my head. Just as everyone was leaving for the cafeteria, Liam hung back.
Hey, Sasha, are you okay? If this is about the gym thing, everyone knows it was just a harmless joke.
I just stared at him silently with angry tears and walked out of the school. This time, he responded and looked a bit guilty. Liam didn't come to school the next few days. I don't know why, but I actually felt worried. One day, he finally showed up. "Hey, I still don't like you, but I made sure to make notes for you when you came back. And no, girls aren't dumb. We can be emotional sometimes, and that's something we're proud of." Just then, to my shock, Liam broke down and started to cry.
Sasha, I'm really sorry. I don't know why I'm this way. I just act out because of things going on in my own life.
Then he told me about how his mother had passed away when he was 6, and he was left all by himself with his stepdad.
He's mean and stupid and doesn't even take care of me. And one day, when I'm old enough, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
I finally saw why Liam was like that. He was just a frustrated kid who needed help. Next day, during lunch, Liam jumped on one of the tables and announced something. Everyone got quiet and listened to him.
Hey everyone, I'm just here to apologize for everything I did to all of you. I still think some of you are weird, and I don't like most of you, but that didn't give me the right to treat anyone like that. So, as they say in French, lo siento.
Dude, that's Spanish. Just get down. Everyone burst into laughter, and Liam gave me a hug.
Thank you for lighting up my life. I promise I will become a better person. No, not really. Only under one condition: make me the irresistible, handsome, great hero in your novel.
Helping Liam become a better person is my greatest achievement. Now he is a medical doctor with a beautiful wife, and he named his child Sasha after me. And now I'm a famous writer.
Hi, I'm Michael from Chicago. Please like and subscribe. I was born to the kindest people you'll ever meet. My dad owned a giant tech company, and we were wealthy. But my parents were always caring and generous and taught me to be the same. When I was in the first grade, my parents took me to an amusement park for my birthday, and as we were leaving, I suddenly spotted a boy crying behind a bench. I realized it was Ethan from my class. He was a giant bully, but I couldn't just leave him there. Just, "Hey Ethan, are you lost? Let me help you." My parents and I searched for his parents all over the giant park and finally found them after 2 hours. It turned out that Ethan's dad was my dad's biggest business rival. His parents didn't even thank us and just took him away. Rude. I thought after what happened, maybe Ethan and I could be friends. But the next day at school, I was walking down the hallway when he suddenly pinned me against the wall.
If you tell anyone you saw me crying, I will deal with you. Do you get me?
I won't. But how about you stop being a jerk to me?
Why? I still don't like your face.
He pulled my bag and threw it across the hall, sending my things flying everywhere as he laughed and ran away. Things never got better. He kept being a jerk, and my revenge was beating him in both studies and sports. Everyone else at school really liked me, but I always tried to be kind and helpful. Once in 8th grade, I was helping our driver wash the cars when I noticed something heartbreaking at the gate. It was a girl my age, searching the trash for food. I walked up to her, but suddenly she dashed away like a cheetah. "Wait, come back, I don't want to hurt you." But she was so fast I couldn't keep up. "We have lots of food in the house, even cakes. I'll get you some." She stopped immediately, then slowly walked back to me.
Cakes!
So when I told my parents about her, they immediately invited her for lunch. Her name was Veronica, and she gobbled up her food like she hadn't eaten in weeks. Veronica started coming to our house every day after that. She never talked about her family. Whenever I asked, she got moody, so I dropped it. One day we were having lunch when we heard a loud knock on the door, and seconds later, a huge man barged into the dining room.
Veronica, it's time to go home.
Hey, I don't know who you are, but it looks like she doesn't want to go with you.
I'm her father, and I don't need your charity. Stay away from my child. Veronica, we're leaving now.
She crept out and he led her away. She didn't come again. My parents and I were really upset and contacted child services to try to track Veronica down. It turned out her father was a wanted criminal. He was arrested soon after and sent to jail, while Veronica ended up with some nice foster parents, who even enrolled her in my school. Hey, I'm really sorry about your dad.
It's okay. I don't really miss him. He wasn't very nice. He often forgot to get me food and made me leave school because he was on the run.
That's awful, but it's all in the past now.
Yeah, and I wanted to stay there. I don't ever want to talk about it again.
Pinky swear we won't talk about it again. I wanted to give Veronica a present for her first day at my school. So I asked my mom to take me to the mall and picked out a beautiful red sweater for her. I waited for her at the school gate. She was late, and I was beginning to panic. What if she decided she didn't want to go to school anymore? Thankfully, she showed up.
You thought I'd change my mind, right?
Yeah, you had me a bit worried. Here, I got you something.
Oh, it's so pretty. And red's my favorite color. Thank you.
She hugged me, and I felt a million butterflies in my stomach.
Whoa, who's this babe, and why are you hugging that cockroach, babe?
I was about to tell Ethan off, but Veronica spoke up first.
I don't know who you are, jerk, but don't talk to us again. Come on, Michael, let's go.
Veronica fit in easily and was making new friends in no time. I was a little jealous that I didn't have her all to myself, but I was glad she was enjoying school.
Guess what I did today? I joined the track team.
That's awesome. I'm sure you'll beat everyone. I'm still trying to catch my breath from the first time I chased you.
The secret to slowing me down is to say, hey, I got cakes. I'll probably stop running and follow that person.
Having Veronica around was a dream come true, and I was just falling more in love with her. One day after school, I was looking for Veronica when I found her in the hallway with Ethan. Hey, is he bothering you? Ethan, just back off.
Whoa, calm down. He's part of the track team, and we're going to an event together.
That's Ethan. He's been a jerk to me since we were kids.
But he's my teammate, Michael. And actually, he's not that bad.
Come on, Veronica, we're running out of time. Get it?
Veronica laughed out loud and walked away with him. What? It was a terrible joke, but from that day on, Ethan was always around Veronica, and it burned my heart. Veronica was so good on the track that she was winning medals in no time. She became really popular and was always hanging out with the cool kids now. But one night in the 10th grade, I was studying for a test when Veronica crept through my window.
Hey, Michael, I missed you.
Really? You bailed on our plans like 100 times.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. So listen, Ethan took me out for a drive, and I completely forgot about this big math test tomorrow. Will you help me, please?
Okay, I'm studying right now, so pull up a chair.
Oh, not right now. I mean, can you help me during the test tomorrow?
You mean cheat? You know I never do that.
But I'm going to fail, Michael.
Yeah, well, that happens when you hang out with people like Ethan. Keep doing that, and he'll ruin you.
If you can't help me, at least don't give me a lecture. Thanks for nothing. I'm sure Ethan will think of something.
And with that, she left. The next day, I spotted a shy girl in our class, passing cheat sheets to Veronica and Ethan during the test. That was Ethan's solution, bullying other kids to help them cheat. But just then, the teacher caught the girl and took her off to the principal. Moments later, Ethan and Veronica were called out too and then suspended for a week. I really hoped that Veronica had learned her lesson. But a week later, I found her and Ethan cornering the shy girl in the hallway.
You're supposed to be one of the smartest girls in class, so how come you're so stupid? You ratted us out to the principal. You know what we do to snitches.
And can you stop crying? You got snot on your face, and it's gross.
What the heck? Veronica was a bully. Veronica, what's wrong with you? Knock it off and leave her alone.
Mind your business, nerd.
I wasn't talking to you, jerk.
Well, you're talking to my fist now.
And then Ethan punched me. I tackled him to the ground, and we both wrestled like crazy until some teacher stopped us. For the first time ever, I landed in detention. Veronica tried to talk to me, but I just walked past her. I completely avoided her for the next few days. But then one evening, the police arrived at our house with some news about her dad. He was really sick and was being transferred to another city for treatment right away. He wanted to meet Veronica before he left. She wasn't answering my calls, so I went to her house. Her foster parents told me she was at Ethan's place for a party. Great. It was the last place I wanted to go. But I had to tell her. As I looked around for her, my heart suddenly dropped to my stomach. Veronica was in the corner with her arms around Ethan, and then she kissed him. Veronica, I need to talk to you. It's urgent.
What are you doing here, man? You're not welcome in my house.
It's not like I want to be here. Veronica, listen.
I'm going to call security.
Michael, can you please leave? I don't want you creating a scene in front of my friends.
She started walking away, and suddenly I felt a wave of rage. Is that all you care about now? I thought you'd like to know that your dad is sick, and he wants you to see him before he's shifted to another prison. The loud music suddenly died as I shouted, and everyone stared at us.
What, your dad's in prison?
You're some criminal's daughter?
Veronica burst into tears and ran out. Veronica, please stop. I'm sorry, She suddenly turned around and pushed me so hard that I fell to the ground.
It's the one thing I ever asked you, Michael. I said I never wanted to talk about my dad, and you decided to announce it?
I didn't mean to, but I had to tell you about him, and you wouldn't listen.
I think you can't stand that I have other friends, and you just wanted to ruin that. Do you think I should be eternally grateful to you and not have a life of my own because you saved me from a dumpster?
Veronica...
Just leave me alone.
The next day at school, everyone had heard about her dad, and her friends had dropped her like a dead fly. I tried sitting next to her at lunch, but she immediately walked away. But later that day, I saw Ethan and her holding hands, and she didn't look so sad anymore. I stayed away from them and tried to focus on schoolwork. Dad asked me to start coming into his office after school to learn more about our business, and I was happy to keep myself busy. Our tech company was launching new gadgets soon, and I was quite excited to be a part of it. But a few weeks later, I woke up to really loud voices downstairs. I went running and found my parents watching the news. I couldn't believe my eyes. Ethan's dad was on TV introducing a prototype of the gadget our company had been working on.
I just don't understand how our plans were leaked. My office is secure, and my home study is always locked. I just can't believe anyone working for me would betray me. This is terrible news. All our investors will be furious, and our company is going to take a huge hit.
And it did. The company suffered huge losses, and there was no way to prove the theft. I went to school a week after the whole disaster, and I couldn't bear to even look at Ethan. His dad was a crook. But later that day, I was going to sit on the bleachers when I spotted Veronica yelling at him.
How could you do this? You told me those files were about some small project Michael was working on, and you'd mess up the plans to embarrass him in front of his dad. You never said it was something that could bring his parents' company down.
Oh, okay. I lied. Boo-hoo. I didn't make you do anything. You got those files for me and then put them back, remember?
I was angry. I only wanted to humiliate Michael. You went too far, and I thought you loved me.
It's not my fault you're stupid. You really thought I loved you, daughter of a felon.
Veronica, you did this? I couldn't believe it. The girl I loved was responsible for our ruin.
Michael, please wait. He lied to me. I didn't know what he was doing. I just wanted to mess with you because I was upset. I never meant to hurt your parents.
Don't ever speak to me again. All I've done since I met you is love you, and you stabbed me in the back.
Wait, you love me?
Not anymore. Now I wish I'd never met you. The next few days at school, she didn't show up, and I didn't care. One day I was in my room when Mom came in.
Honey, we went to Veronica's foster home and they told us she ran away. I'm so sorry.
Whatever, good riddance.
Michael, that's unkind.
Mom, you still think she deserves kindness after what she did?
I'm sure she got manipulated by that boy. Remember, she had a rough past, and maybe she was just trying to fit in and be loved. I know what she did was awful, but she was a good girl, and I hope she's okay.
Mom's attitude made me feel ashamed of myself, and I soon started regretting the things I said. But I couldn't take it back because Veronica had vanished. In a shocking turn of events, an employee from Ethan's dad's company came forward with proof that the product had been stolen from us. They had to pay millions in damages, while his dad served time in prison. The family moved away and I never saw Ethan again. High school passed fast enough, and after graduating from university, I joined Dad's company and helped build it to newer heights. One day I was at a shopping mall when I caught sight of a girl who looked like Veronica. My heart was pounding as I ran after her, but by the time I got outside, she was nowhere to be seen.
Michael, is that you?
Oh my God, Veronica. I've always wondered what I'd do if I ever saw you again, I don't even know what to say, except that I'm so happy you're okay.
Michael, I thought of this meeting a million times too, and I really need to say that I'm so sorry. I was so stupid, and I knew even then that you'd never hurt me on purpose. But I ended up hurting you and your family so much. I left because I couldn't face you guys anymore. Please say you'll forgive me.
I hugged her and we sat on a bench and talked. After she ran away, she ended up in a foster home again and got adopted by some really nice people. I was so glad her life hadn't been miserable. As I loaded her groceries in her car, I spotted something in her back seat. It was the red sweater I'd given her in the 8th grade. Veronica, do you think I can call you sometime and ask you out on a date? I've wanted to since forever.
You can ask me right now, and my answer is yes. Hi, I'm Layla from Washington, and I have a really personal story to share today. But before I do, please like and subscribe. My mom gave birth to identical twin daughters, me and my sister Elise. So, of course, my parents dressed us in the same clothes and braided our hair with matching ribbons. But people could easily tell us apart for one reason. Elise was born with a minor facial distortion. Her eyes were a little lopsided, and her mouth was almost as low as her chin. I, on the other hand, looked like a freaking porcelain doll. And everywhere we went, people would ooh and ah at me. She's just too lovely to be real.
Wow, look at those brown eyes.
I have the same color eyes.
But everyone ignored Elise, and it really got to her. I kept telling her she was just as pretty as me, but she wouldn't hear a word of it. And as years passed, my sister grew to hate me. Elise did everything she could to make me feel as sad and angry as she felt. She'd spread rumors about me at school, steal my diary, and once she'd tried to shave off my eyebrows. I was living in fear, 24/7. Worst of all, my parents didn't take it that seriously.
I'll take away her electronics for a week.
That's not enough, Dad. Elise is trying to ruin my life. What if she tries to seriously hurt me?
Oh, Layla, that's silly. Elise is just going through a phase and we would never let her harm you.
They didn't understand, and when I turned 14, things really turned upside down. One afternoon, I came home from school to find Elise in the living room with my parents, and they looked furious with me.
How could you do something like that, Layla?
What are you talking about?
Elise said you locked her in the closet for an hour. We heard her calling for us.
What? Just then, I saw Elise, and she was smirking at me.
I just don't think I feel safe around Layla anymore, Mommy. How can I trust her after what she did?
Guys, she's framing me. She locked herself up in the closet.
And why would she do that? That's just twisted, Layla.
Didn't my parents see how crazy Elise was? Not one of them talked to me that night. They all watched Luna Avatar with a bowl of popcorn while I stayed in my room. But the next morning, my parents did the unthinkable. They made me move into the guest house.
It was Elise's idea. You two need space away from each other. We can't have this negativity in the house.
So you're kicking me out? What, because I trapped her in the closet? I told you guys I didn't do it.
It doesn't matter who did it. The point is, you two are toxic for each other right now. And at the moment, Elise needs our attention more than you do. You have more friends and the world at your fingertips. It's just for a short time, Layla.
I was speechless. I was being punished for literally nothing, and it was all Elise's fault. I moved into our guest house that evening and didn't speak to any of my family members. In fact, I continued to ignore them for the next several months. Sure, it was clear Elise was much happier without me in the house. She made more friends and even picked up a few hobbies. But I was still bubbling with anger. One day, I was coming out of the supermarket when I saw a homeless boy outside with dyed turquoise hair. I immediately pulled out a bag of bananas and some change, but he just laughed.
Whoa, do I look like a beggar?
If I'm being honest,
These clothes are just really old.
I still insisted that he keep the bananas, and the two of us ended up having lunch together. I found out the boy's name was Easton, and he lived in an apartment down the block. He was also an absolute sweetheart. I told Easton all about my home situation and Elise's issues with me, and he had a brilliant idea.
Pretend to run away from home, leave at midnight, and leave a note. Turn off the location services on your phone, and you can stay at my place. They'll get so scared they'll beg you to move back in with them. They might even finally punish your jerk sister.
I was sold. My whole family deserved a little scare, so that night, I I sent a text to both my parents to tell them my plans and switched my location to private. I spent the next 2 nights at Easton's apartment. His family was really poor, and I had to sleep on a torn cot, but I felt fantastic. My parents were probably going crazy.
Maybe they think you joined a gang.
Or they think I'm pregnant and ran off to get married. Unfortunately, the fun didn't last long. The next morning, my parents burst into Easton's apartment with several cops. They hugged me and cried for a moment, but then they were furious.
Why would you scare us like this? We had no idea what was going on.
Sorry, but you kicked me out for no reason, and then neglected me for 6 months. I needed to teach you a lesson.
Teach us a lesson? Layla, we know the living situation isn't perfect, and we know we haven't been giving you as much attention, but just disappearing like you did. That's crazy behavior. Come with us right this second.
After that, Mom let me move back into the house, but she watched me like a dog. Elise even suggested I shouldn't leave home without her escorting me, and my parents agreed. Luckily, I could still hang out with Easton, who was the only person who seemed to care about me, and it turned out we'd even be going to the same high school next month. On my first day of 9th grade, I was in gym class when Easton started jogging next to me.
Whoa there, you look ready to faint. Here, take some of my water.
Oh God, is it that obvious?
Don't worry, you still look lovely, even though you're drenched in sweat.
Easton smiled at me as I drank from his water, and I felt a little weak in the knees, and not just because I was tired. I saw Elise glare at me as she jogged by, but I didn't care. As months passed, Easton and I just got closer, and whenever Elise was mean, he always defended me.
You can make fun of Layla's dress all you want, but she's the one who got a party invitation, and you didn't.
Secretly, I had the biggest crush on Easton, but I was way too chicken to ever tell him. I was just grateful to have a best friend. It was exhausting living with a bully 24/7. Then, one day, when I came home from school, my parents gave me shocking news. They'd found a plastic surgeon to fix Elise's facial distortion. They couldn't completely get rid of it, but I'd never seen my sister so happy.
I felt so ugly my whole life, Layla. I know it sounds shallow, but I can't wait to be as beautiful as you.
Elise, look at me. You've never been ugly. But if getting this surgery makes you feel more confident, then I support you. Elise started to cry then and hugged me. I stayed with her in the surgery room the entire time, and she even apologized for how she treated me. And I was glad. I was ready to give up our crazy fighting. After Elise's surgery, things changed between us. Elise didn't seem jealous of me anymore, and even started hanging out with me and Easton. Then, one day, I walked into my front yard and almost had a heart attack. Elise was kissing Easton. Hey, does someone want to tell me what's going on here?
Well...
Layla, I've been meaning to tell you. Easton and I like each other, and I asked him out.
I felt like I was gonna throw up. I pulled Elise aside angrily. How could you do this to me? Elise, I love him and you know it.
I know you love him, and I'm sorry. But I've been hanging out with Easton for a couple of weeks, and we have a connection.
How could you do this to me? Elise, I love him and you know it.
Layla, I'm not trying to hurt you. I really like Easton, and I just want to be happy for once.
I can't take this anymore. You made me miserable for 14 years, and then got me kicked out of my own house and convinced Mom to basically ground me for 24/7. This is the last straw. I stormed off and blocked Easton on all social media. He kept calling me to apologize and tell me that him dating Elise wouldn't change our friendship, but I refused to speak to him. The next day at school, I decided it was time for overdue revenge. The first thing I did was attach a bucket of paint to the cafeteria doorway, and when Elise walked in with Easton, pink splashed all over them. Everyone laughed like crazy, and I felt great. I got suspended for a day, but it was worth it, and I didn't stop there. That entire month, I pulled every prank I could think of on them at school, putting spiders in their locker and gluing their butts to the classroom chairs. I felt guilty for being a jerk, but Elise deserved it, didn't she? And Easton was dating my sister, who bullied me my whole life. Then one day, I was studying in the courtyard when Easton walked over to me, and he looked furious.
I've had it with you, Layla. Your jealousy has turned you insane. All the kids at school now are terrified of you.
What do you mean? I've done nothing to anyone, except you and Elise.
Really? Because the bucket of paint from your prank got all over the cafeteria floor, and one kid tripped and sprained his ankle. I'm sorry you're hurt about me dating Elise, but it happened organically. Our feelings for each other had nothing to do with you. I know you're hurt, but don't become a bully because of it.
Easton walked off, and I thought about what he said. Maybe Elise wasn't trying to hurt me, and her falling for Easton was just a coincidence. Maybe I could just be happy for her. So that week, I did everything I could to make things right with people. I volunteered to help as many kids as I could with homework, and they'd know I wasn't a monster. And I apologized to Elise and Easton, and surprisingly, they forgave me. On Friday night, Elise and Easton were celebrating their 1-month anniversary at the beach. So I told Elise I'd deliver them a picnic basket. But when I got there, Elise was sitting alone in the sand, and she was crying. Hey, what's wrong? Where's Easton?
He's not here, Layla. He's not coming.
Did you guys break up?
No, because we never dated. It was all fake. I even paid Easton monthly and used up all my savings. I wanted to make you jealous.
Wait, what? I don't understand.
I thought that after my surgery, people would start treating me differently because my face looked better. I thought I'd finally get as much attention as you. But because my distortion isn't totally fixed, I didn't. And that made me angry. But I can't do this to you anymore. I feel horrible.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Elise kept apologizing, but I couldn't even look at her. I didn't want revenge. I just didn't want to deal with her anymore. Things completely changed between us after that. My sister and I both cut contact with Easton and became strangers to each other. It broke my heart, but I didn't know what else to do. We were toxic for each other. Before we knew it, high school ended, and we both went our separate ways. A couple of years later, I was walking around my university campus when I got a phone call.
Layla, it's Easton. I know we haven't spoken in years, but I need your help. My parents lost their house and are homeless. I'm doing everything I can to help them, but I'm desperate. I'm calling everyone I know for either money or food.
My stomach was in knots. I still hated Easton for what he did, but he was obviously in a crisis. So I bought a bunch of food and clothes and arrived at the homeless shelter.
God, you're an angel. I can't thank you enough.
I'm not doing this for you. It's for your parents. And I never want to see you after this. Do you understand?
Yes, what I did to you was unforgivable. Can I just tell you one thing? I never wanted to go through with Elise's fake dating plan. The only reason I agreed to it was because my family's been struggling since I was a kid. I was always terrified we'd end up living on the streets. It's still no excuse, especially because I was in love with you.
My head started spinning. I had no idea Easton had been suffering that much, and I had no idea that he loved me. I decided it was time to smooth things over. That night, I went right home and convinced my parents to give Easton's family a loan, and then I asked if they could invite Elise for dinner.
Oh, sweetie, that's a wonderful idea. She's doing well these days, but she talks about you a lot.
For some reason, I was happy to hear that. When Elise came over, she immediately ran to hug me.
Layla, I'm so glad you're here. Actually, I got you some presents.
Elise handed me a huge gift bag, and to my shock, she bought me all kinds of expensive presents. Perfume, jewelry, and even a brand new iPad.
None of this makes up for how I've treated you over the years. But I love you, Layla. And if you ever want to have a relationship, I'm here.
Thanks, Elise. That means a lot. You did really hurt me. But it has been a couple of years. I can't forgive you overnight. But this is a good start.
I also know you got in touch with Easton. If you ever want to date him, you have my blessing. It's a possibility. But
first, I want to make things right with you. Though, of course, Elise invited Easton over later and left us alone on our porch.
I'm really glad you and Elise made up. Do you think you can ever forgive me? Layla, I never really got over you.
Wow, I didn't know that. But it will take me some time to trust you again.
I understand that. I'm willing to wait as long as it takes.
Hi, my name is Kane, and I'm from Brazil. Please like and subscribe to Luna Avata. Even though my parents were poor, I always had big dreams as a kid. When I was 8, my best friend Gangle and I used to sit at the bus stop on the weekends and would admire all the fancy cars that would drive past. Wow, did you see that? BMW? I want one like that when I grow up.
I believe you'll drive a car like that one day, Kane. Remember what our teacher said? If you believe it, you will have it.
Gangle also came from a poor family, like me, and I cared about her a lot. Once, when we were in the 8th grade, she couldn't bring her lunch for the whole week because her parents were so broke. And even though she came up with all sorts of excuses not to take my lunch, I wasn't going to leave my friend to starve.
Kane, I'm not that hungry. Please, I don't want to take your lunch.
You know you don't have to have pride with me. Come on, let's share.
Okay, but next week is my turn to share with you.
But when next week came, Gangle had more than enough to share with me since her dad got a big good job in the city.
I got us candy bars today.
Wow, thank you. I'm really happy that your family's doing well.
Yeah, and there's something else I need to tell you.
She looked a little sad, and then I felt sad when she told me.
We won't be living in the same place anymore. We're moving to the city, and I won't be in this school.
I was happy for Gangle because she was going to have a better life, but I was sad since she was my best friend. We promised to write to each other every month, but as time went by, she stopped writing, but I didn't. I started focusing a lot on my studies when Gangle left and became the top student in my school. When I was in 10th grade, I got selected to participate in a national math tournament. When I was at the tournament, I was so happy when I saw Gangle. She was also selected from her school. Gangle, she looks so beautiful now. Gangle looked at me like she didn't even know me. Or maybe it was because I also looked different. It's me, Kane.
Oh, hi. It's been a while.
She looked down at my shoes and made a face of disgust.
I'm guessing you're still stuck at the poor people's location.
If that's what you call it.
Okay. I have to go. My friends are waiting.
That was not the Gangle I knew, but I didn't let that distract me. During the tournament, I beat all the kids, even the rich ones from Gangle's school.
Well done, Kane.
Thanks, Gangle. And it was nice seeing you again. As I walked to the hallway, a tall man approached me. He was the principal of the most expensive school in the city. It was the same school Gangle went to.
Well done on your achievement today. I would love to have a student like you at my school.
Thanks, sir, but I don't think my parents can afford your school for now.
You would definitely qualify for a scholarship, and I could help you with that.
When I told my parents about the offer I got from the principal, they were so happy. Dad immediately spoke to one of his friends who lived closer to the school to accommodate me, and he gladly accepted. After a month, I moved into Dad's friend's house. He had a daughter who was my age, Pomni, and she was on another level of always being happy.
I've always been an only child in this massive house. It's just me and my father. I'm so glad to finally have someone to talk to. Come on, I want to show you our swimming pool. I've won 5 gold medals. It's because I practice every day.
Thanks, but swimming is not my thing.
What? Swimming should be everybody's thing. What would you do if the world comes to an end and the entire earth gets flooded? It has to be everybody's thing. Then I'll teach you. Let's go.
Pomni was so persistent about everything I did, everything she asked me to do since her father was super kind to me. She never mentioned her mom, and I didn't want to intrude. When Pomni and I entered the school gates together, all eyes were on us, and I didn't understand why.
Oh my gosh! Everyone thinks I'm dating the new hot guy.
Which new hot guy?
You silly! You're really cute. Don't you know that?
I blushed when she said that because I never really paid attention to how I looked, since I focused so much on getting high grades. And then as we walked into our next class, all the girls started tapping the seat next to them.
Hey, new guy, you could sit next to me.
Oh no, you should really sit next to me. I have all the answers to everything.
Pomni suddenly hid behind me when she saw Gangle walk in, and then she took my hand.
He'll sit next to me. We come from way back. Isn't that so, Kane?
I saw Gangle glare at Pomni sternly, and she quickly ran to her seat and didn't look at me for the rest of the day. Gangle pulled me along with her everywhere in school, and because I missed her so much, I stuck with her.
I'm so happy that you're in my school, Kane, but we got to get you some new shoes, okay?
But these are my favorite shoes, Gangle.
I know, but change is good sometimes. Look at me. I live a fabulous life, which starts with how we look.
Pomni walked past me and Gangle like she didn't even know me, and when I saw her after school to find out what was up, she acted like everything was normal. Hey, you suddenly avoided me. What happened?
Nothing. I just wanted to give you and Gangle your space. She seems to really like you.
Yeah, we're old friends. Are you afraid of Gangle?
No, she's just this popular girl who gets everything she wants. And I don't want any trouble at school, so we could just be friends at my house.
Okay, if that's what you want. The next day at school, Gangle immediately approached me and took me to a quiet place. And then she took a new pair of sneakers from her bag for me. I felt very uncomfortable taking them. But these are my favorite shoes, Gangle.
Kane, it's rude not to take a gift. You know that. Remember that time you made me share your lunch and I took it?
Yeah, but I was helping.
Take my gift, Kane, please.
I looked at her eyes, and she looked like she was about to cry, so I took the shoes. But it didn't stop there. Gangle changed my whole look, and I kind of liked it, but hanging out with her and her friends felt awkward. Like this one time when we were in 12th grade, they invited me to a beach party, and when I decided to bring Pomni along, Gangle acted like she owned me.
Kane, can I speak to you alone, please?
She seemed angry, and I left Pomni waiting for me.
Why did you bring her to a party that I invited only you to?
I live in her house, and she's my friend, so I thought it'd be okay.
Well, it's not okay, and I'm not happy. You were my friend first. In fact, I think I like you more than a friend now.
Gangle suddenly kissed me, which caught me off guard. Before I could react, my phone rang, and it was my dad. Sorry, I have to take this. My dad called to tell me that in a month's time, they would be losing the house because he lost his job. Gangle could see that I wasn't okay. And because I was so worried, I ended up telling her everything.
So you're going to be homeless?
No, I won't allow that to happen.
Well, I don't know how you will do anything since you're still in school, but if you send Pomni back home and tell her that she's a loser, then I'll speak to my dad to help your family.
What? I can't do that. Pomni's family is helping me, and she's a good person.
She's a freak, Kane, and you're hot and smart, and I want you all to myself.
I was so turned off with Gangle. She wanted me to hurt another person for no reason, and I just couldn't do it. I went back home with Pomni, and she was happy to get out of the party because it wasn't her vibe either.
Maybe we can go get some ice cream.
Yeah, let's do that.
What did Queen Gangle say? You look so unhappy after you spoke to her.
Don't worry about it. I don't think I'll be hanging around her anymore. After our fun ice cream date, I started growing really fond of Pomni. She was sweet and accepted me for who I am. She was still very hyper about many things, but I started loving that about her. And then after the weekend, when I went back to school, everyone looked at me differently. Even the girls who used to drop hints at me now looked at me like some poor, pathetic boy.
I can't have a homeless boy in our school.
I spotted Gangle talking to a group of kids. I stood behind her. She was talking about me.
Kane is a total fake. I had to buy him clothes and shoes because his family is going to be homeless soon.
Wow. But how can someone so hot be so poor?
Gangle, how could you do this?
Oh, speak of the poor devil.
She looked at me coldly, and then I took off the shoes she bought me and threw them in her face. Congratulations, Gangle. Money has turned you into a real witch. I walked away from her, and Pomni ran after me.
Kane, wait. Don't throw your education away because of her. Gangle did something really humiliating to me once before, and that's why I stay away from her and whatever she wants.
What did she do to you, Pomni? Pomni started crying and I hugged her. Then she told me that she was the popular girl at school once before, and Gangle was her best friend until she told everyone her big secret.
Gangle kept asking about my mom, and then I told her something my family never shared with anyone. My mom is in a mental institute. Gangle told everyone at school. From that day, everyone called me a mental case.
Oh, Pomni, why didn't you tell me this before?
Because I didn't want you to think that I was a mad person. I'm not my mother. I'm me.
After what Pomni told me, I wanted nothing more to do with Gangle. I completed my last year of high school with Pomni by my side, and her dad also helped my parents not lose the house. Thank you so much for all that you did for my family. I hope to pay you back one day, sir.
You have a bright future ahead of you, Kane, and it was a pleasure having you in my house.
I'm going to miss you so much.
I got a scholarship to study medicine in one of the most prestigious universities abroad, and my school helped my parents pay for my flight ticket since I was the best student they ever had. I worked hard in university and became one of the best heart doctors in the world, and when I went back to Brazil to visit my parents, I also paid a visit to Pomni and her father.
Kane, I'm so glad to see you.
Pomni looked emotional. What's wrong?
My dad is in the hospital. It's his heart.
I spoke to the head of the hospital that Pomni's father was in, and I was ready to do anything to save him. While I was at the hospital, one of the nurses suddenly approached me.
Kane.
I couldn't recognize her since she had her hair covered up, and when I looked closer, it was Gangle. Hello, Gangle.
Wow, you're a doctor now?
Yes, and I'm a very busy person, so please excuse me. I walked past her, and I could feel her eyes still on me. But she was someone I forgot about a long time ago. After my successful operation on Pomni's father, he couldn't stop thanking me, and I was happy that I was able to do something good for him and Pomni.
Kane, you are like my angel. You always come into my life at just the right time. When I was lonely back at high school, you filled up my life, and today you saved my father.
I comforted Pomni, then suddenly Gangle walked towards me. What can I do for you, Gangle?
I just wanted to say I'm sorry to both of you.
She looked really sincere, so Pomni and I forgave her. She asked if we could have dinner together. I looked at Pomni, and she nodded, so we hung out together. As we sat in a restaurant, we actually enjoyed ourselves, and when Pomni excused herself to go to the bathroom, Gangle confessed to me.
I still love you, Kane. I don't know what came over me in high school, but I've changed now.
I'm sorry, Gangle, but I'm in love with Pomni, and that's why I came back to Brazil. Gangle understood and then got up and left.
Where's Gangle?
She's gone, so it's just the two of us. I stepped forward, Pomni's, looked into her eyes, and told her how I felt. Pomni, will you go out with me on a real date?
Oh yeah, so I guess I did get the hottest guy in school after all.
She always knew how to make me blush. Never let your current situation determine your future. When life throws you lemons, make sweet lemonade.